Hi, my name is Zainab, and I want to talk to you about what I did for my RiNA project. So the issue that I discussed is bloodless medicine, and it's basically this technology where you're using, instead of using blood transfusions for any kind of medical procedures, you would use alternative methods. And so basically what my network map did was that it discussed all of the different stakeholders and all of the potential impacts that it can have on either patients' health or the kind of more like economic side of medicine, more kind of like the resources side. I wanted to focus on that more. And so I used this network map, and what's nice about it is that it just organized everything pretty well, and you would also be able to connect things to each other, and it's just kind of like, it's very brief. Like if you zoom in a little bit, you can see that like each one's just kind of like a few words, like each kind of spot just has like a few words in it, and so it kind of perfectly summarizes the whole issue while also presenting a lot of like the aspects of it. And for our action that we did a bunch of things, but what
sorry, I'm interrupting.
Oh,
so before you get to the action, so your big issue was bloodless medicine, right?
Yes.
So you did a lot of research, and then you used that research and you kind of assembled everything into a network map, right?
Right, yeah.
So you said there were some people who were stakeholders in that issue. So why do you think it was important, when you look at an issue that's big and complicated, let's say that has to do with human health, why is it important, you think, to look at different stakeholders?
I think just that it can give you a broader, I don't know how to say it, like a broader kind of background, and it just kind of like opens up, I guess it kind of like opens up your thinking, because like when you're kind of like brainstorming about like, oh, you know, who might be the stakeholders involved in this kind of issue, you might think up of some aspects of the issue that you've never thought of before. So say for example, when we were talking about bloodless medicine, the first thing that came up to me were like healthcare providers as like a stakeholder, but I think there were other kind of aspects that I didn't really think about before, such as like nonprofit organizations. I also thought of careers that might be affected by this issue, and so it just kind of like organizes your thinking and just kind of like solidifies it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So you used this network map, and then what you did is that was your secondary research. You did some primary research, so it looks like you did a survey to some of your fellow class members.
We did, yeah. So what the survey did was, was just kind of get the perception of, I guess, the general public, I guess. But in our case, it was just like students from our school. We just kind of asked them, you know, what is your opinion on blood transfusion? Like, what is your perception of it? And, you know, what kind of role does it play? Why do you think blood transfusion is important? Things like that. And on this side, we kind of asked them, you know, if you guys know about bloodless medicine or anything like that. A lot of people said no, but yeah, so I guess it really just kind of looked at how people perceive blood transfusions, because we know that our issue, you know, bloodless medicine, it's all about not using those blood transfusions. So we just kind of wanted to see how important is blood transfusion, how important are blood transfusions to people. Yeah.
Now, do you think there was value, because I saw that you did some things with correlational studies, so you kind of try to determine R value. Do you think there was some value in students kind of running their own surveys and figuring out what the connection was between sets of responses?
I think that it really depends on what your issue is and how specific your questions were, and I guess the quality of the people that you're surveying, like the quality of your pool of people that you're asking. So in our case, we were only able to mostly ask students, and our questions were pretty general, so I think that wasn't, so like probably like using a survey. Like it probably wasn't a challenge for the people who took part in it, just because like, it was like a fairly simple survey. But I think that what, in my case, I would have benefited from more is that if I'd had like a wider pool of people, like instead of just asking students, maybe asking like older people or like teachers or something. I'm not really sure. I think a couple of teachers also answered, but you know, it was mostly
relatively
students.
few, sure.
Yeah, it was mostly students.
So then in your last part of your RiNA project, you had to do a social action,
yeah.
right?
Which I kind of just jumped over to.
It's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
So I
But
think
yeah.
in your social action, you did a couple of things. So you
Yeah.
tried to decide which social action to do by creating a grid, right?
Yeah,
So I just
we
want to
created
zoom in
this
on that grid for a minute.
And
Okay.
we kind of, with my group and I, we kind of brainstormed a bunch of actions that we could potentially do, and we just kind of scored each proposed action based on if they're cost effective, if they're realistic, if it's creative or interactive with the public and stuff. And so, what we brainstormed was our first, I guess, proposal was to like go to hospitals and actually inform patients about it. We thought that was it wasn't really that realistic or cost effective. And then we thought about making a petition, but we didn't really think that was like a very creative thing. Like it didn't really serve our purpose of like trying to inform people. Like we didn't really think it's very effective.
So you kind of tried to go to the widest audience possible, right? So you ended up doing the kind of like the social media blitz.
Yeah, so
right?
we
Could you put the video on too?
We created a video and we created an installation. I'll just show you the installation first.
Okay.
One of the group members kind of painted this and we hung that up in the atrium. And then I created this animated video that's basically just, I don't know, why isn't it playing? I'm just gonna try to refresh it because the video's not playing. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's the video that I animated, and it basically kind of goes over what bloodless medicine is, why does it have that potential benefit for patients' health. That's kind of like in the beginning, but in like mostly speaking, what I want to focus a lot on was the economic side of, the benefits of this, like the potential, how can it benefit our healthcare systems, kind of looking more at the resources side of it. So yeah, I animated most of this. There are a few, I think this one, I kind of like took from another video because I couldn't animate it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just
that's very painstaking though, the text.
Yeah.
Frame by frame essentially, right?
Yeah, it was frame by frame, yeah. I created it just and stuff like that.
Excellent.
So, yeah,
all right, so do you think
there
there are advantages to doing projects where students have to actually make or do some kind of social action as opposed to just planning an action or proposing an action? Because you actually had to physically make this new product, right?
Yeah.
And physically do the action. Are there advantages to being made to physically do it?
Well, obviously you are going to be able to reach people if you actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So there's that one big advantage. Another advantage is that I guess you kind of just gain that experience of just doing stuff, right? And that it just kind of, I found this project to be very helpful because I was like, able to like actually do things, and it kind of just like, I feel that it's just gonna help me a lot more in the future. So definitely for sure, like actually doing your actions as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, but like, as best as you can. If you are actually able to do it, if you are actually able to reach out to those people, that's obviously supporting your cause, right? So yeah, for sure, you should. Yeah, I think students should definitely do their actions they're proposing. Yeah.
Okay.